Chia Grace Boris. Also want to say good morning to our hardworking board members. We are happy to have you. I do apologize for the late start. We had a couple technical difficulties, but without further ado, I would like you all to stand so we could, for the national anthem. Please remain standing so that I can invite the presence of God. Dear God and Heavenly Father, as we are about to start the ceremony, we ask that you come into this space and bless us, help us to have a good ceremony today, Lord. Bless all the persons that have been participating thus far in the Tobago Heritage Festival. Help us that we may continue to grow from strength to strength in THA, in the division, and in Festivals Commission. Bless everyone. In your name I pray. Amen. So, without further ado, I would like to invite the secretary of the division to grace us with her presence.
Good morning, everyone. I know you all had breakfast. Good morning, everyone. I would like to recognize the Assistant Secretary in the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation, Assemblyman Niall George. I would also like to recognize Dr. Charleston Thomas, Technical Advisor to the Division. Our sponsors, Republic Bank, who have been a very important partner of the Tobago Festivals Commission and an important supporter of the Tobago Heritage Festival. Thank you for coming this morning. The Board of Directors of the Tobago Festivals Commission, the hardworking staff of the division and the TFCL, but most importantly, our cultural groups, our Calypsonians, our winners, all our specially invited guests. Good morning. We needed to do this, and by this I mean recognize publicly the persons that not only participated in the 2024 edition of the Tobago Heritage Festival, but the persons who put their best feet forward, put their talent on display. This morning we are here to recognize the winners across the categories in the Tobago Heritage Festival Calypso Monarch competition, our folk fiesta, our Junior Miss Heritage competition, and to distribute checks to our community groups that participated. So let me say that I have a bias. I feel as if the 2024 edition of the Tobago Heritage Festival has been one of the best ones that we've had. And I think you guys need to give yourselves a round of applause for what you put out this year, led by, and I'd like to recognize Miss Annette Alfred, who was one of the key planners, the key organizers for this year's edition of the Heritage Festival, as well as the other members of staff of the Tobago Festivals Commission, other board of directors, and everybody who contributed to making this year's edition such a success. I feel as if the Tobago Heritage Festival really needs to go back to the communities. And the communities need to take ownership of the Heritage Festival product. So it's not just about waiting on the festival's commission to plan and execute and do something. As soon as one edition is finished, the planning should immediately start for the next year. We have to have conversations about what stories do we want to tell. And everybody knows about the villages that show up each and every year. But I want to especially point out villages like Golden Lane, who came back this year for the first time in a very long time and put out such a stellar production. I must point that out. I must also point out the village of Roxborough, who had their Belmana riots this year, and that also was another stellar production. And what that says to us is that there are stories across the Tobago space that are yet to be told. So that although we love the Lekito, and we love the Pembroke, and we love all of the other ones that are usually showing up every year, we have stories like the Tambourine Story in Mount St. George, another excellent production, and that was led by young people. And what that says to us is that we have to do some work in ensuring that the people who are looking at this product from the outside get an idea of how rich the heritage and culture is, because every year we are telling new stories. So I want to encourage you, those of you who are in community groups, those of you who are in communities who are regular participants in the Heritage Festival, to go next door to other communities who have never participated and encourage them to get together, find the stories that need to be told, help each other tell those stories, because the only way for the Heritage Festival to survive is if we keep telling our stories. We have a young generation that is coming up that does not know much about where we have come from. And we in this room are the ones who have to change that. We in this room are the ones who have to be the ones to sit with them and remind them of the way things used to be, the games we used to play, the stories that we used to hear growing up. Storytelling, a dying art. These are the things that we have to encourage, because our young people, especially in this time where there are so many distractions in the world that they are growing up in, they have to have a very solid sense of self. They have to have a very solid sense of who am I as a Tobagonian. And the only way we can do that as Tobagonians is to tell the stories, tell each other stories, help each other tell the stories, and never forget where we have come from, and continue to encourage young people to be discoverers of the truth, discoverers of their history, discoverers of their culture and their heritage. So I take this opportunity to congratulate all of you for your stellar performances, for your participation in this year's Tobago Heritage Festival 2024. And we look forward to another successful staging of the Tobago Heritage Festival 2025. I thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. In this moment, I'd like to invite Mrs. Drysdale-Drobe to help us with the distribution of checks, and we are going to start with our Junior Heritage Personality Competition winners. So I'd like to ask Dr. Charleston Thomas to join us in this moment. So first place we have Ladies and gentlemen, let us call to the front stage Miss Zendaya Taylor, and she is our Miss Junior Heritage Personality winner. We want to call Miss Nehemiah Dempster Roberts, and she placed second, and she is from the School of the Deaf. Miss Kayla Alexander, and she represented Tobago Dance Academy, Tobago Alpha Dance Academy. And we would have had Wim Andikan, but she isn't here today. So we go straight along to Miss Kailani Craig from Patience Hill Primary School. Thank you, Dr. Charleston Thomas. And now we invite our administrator of the division to grace us with his presence. And we move straight into our Calypso competitions. I want to invite to the stage Mr. Wendell Frederick. Miss Shamika Denoon. She isn't here, so we go straight into Mr. Karen Eastman. We have Miss Giselle Washington, but she isn't here, so we go straight into Miss Leslie Ann Ellis. We will have next Caston, Cupid, and Zariko, but both aren't here, so we go into our reigning monarch, Miss Gave Sandy. Thank you, Administrator. I would like to call on Mr. David Dillon from Republic Bank to help us with this set of checks. And these are no particular order, but this is winners of the Folk Fiesta, or the Republic Bank Folk Fiesta competition for 2024. And we would like to call a representative from the Charlottesville folk performers, heritage performers. We'd like to call for a representative from Youth Quick. Is there any representative from Mount Killeen? Rhythm Babes. Is there any representative from the Charlottesville Police Youth Club? All right, we do. Is there a representative for the Roxborough Police Youth Club? All right, so we're moving along to the Delicious Dance Agency. And we would like to call for a representative for Encore Dance Theatre. And last but not least, Rhythmic Vibrations. And as soon as he's finished, we do in fact have a representative from the Roxborough Police Youth Club. Thank you, Mr. Dillon. And in this moment, I would like to call on Ms. Shanaka Holder, our board member, our esteemed board member, to help us with this distribution of checks. Now, this particular competition is near and dear to my heart because, you know, I love a good queen show. So I'd like to invite Miss Shanika Caesar. One second. Yes. This is the first citizens. My apologies. Just for the segment. I'd like to call on Miss Khadija Brasnell. I'd like to call next Miss Lenicia McKellar. Miss Cherise Trim. Miss Keena Macmillan. Our top two are away at university, so unfortunately they will not be collecting today, but we still want to give them a round of applause. And thank you, Ms. Hola, for gracing us with your presence. So we would like to call on our secretaries, assistant secretary, to help us with these. These individuals were instrumental in helping pull the events together, and today we want to say a special thank you to them. So I want to call on Miss Salisha Small Moses. She was instrumental in the Thanksgiving service. Okay, it doesn't look like she's here, so moving along. Miss Keisha Jack, she also isn't here, but she was instrumental in the Junior Heritage Extravaganza. Let us call on Miss Afisha Lincoln. She is also instrumental in the Junior Heritage Extravaganza. The next person I'm about to call has been extremely instrumental in this village for many years. She was a queen coordinator at one point. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Miss Grace Dennis. All right, thank you, Assistant Sec. I'd like to call on Secretary Boris, Councillor. In this moment, I want to call on a very hardworking, creative young lady and a fellow lady of the sisterhood, Miss Hyacinth Leander, and she has been instrumental in making sure that our heritage personalities show up at their best for their production. I'm not seeing representatives, but I would like to call on Quinton Wilson. We would like to call Tyrese Montano to collect on behalf of Anthony Blackman. She was instrumental in the Junior Extravaganza competition. And Miss Blackman also was very instrumental in the Golden Lane production. Thank you so much, Secretary Boris. Ladies and gentlemen and children, I want to say thank you all for coming out for this very short. Yes. We just need one group picture, so for those persons who would have collected, please come to the front so we can have a nice, beautiful picture, including our sponsors from Republic Bank. I will bring it back, Dave. All right, so Miss Akima Manning is here. She's from Wim Anglican, and she was one of our Junior Miss Heritage personality. So I'll ask Secretary Boris to present her with her check. Miss Manning. A round of applause, please. All right, I'd like to ask everyone to come up front who have received or collected checks today so that we can have one beautiful group photo. Our secretary.